All right, let's get started. Attention, all personnel. Welcome to today's mandatory security briefing. I am your briefing officer, and what we're covering today is a highly classified threat assessment explainer. The anomaly we are discussing is an existential threat, not just to Foundation security, but to human biology as we know it. We're going to analyze the operational parameters of SCP-217. I need your absolute, undivided focus here. What you learned today could very well be the difference between a successful containment shift and a catastrophic facility-wide biological breach. For this briefing, we're going to systematically cover 6 key operational parameters: threat designation, primary containment, pathology and vectors, viral progression, cognitive decay, and finally cross-contamination. Memorize this structure. Understanding how these 6 elements interact is literally a matter of containment survival. All right, Section 1. Threat designation, anomaly classification. SCP-217 is a Keter-class virus. And let me be clear right out of the gate, it is entirely incurable by all current medical means. Nothing works. But what's absolutely critical for you to grasp here is its mechanism of action. This virus literally alters the biochemistry of organic tissue. It forces living matter to basically rearrange itself into organic metal. Imagine your body's biological functions being forcibly taken over by a complex, grinding arrangement of gears and clockwork. We are talking about a complete biological to mechanical transfiguration. There's no pill, no surgical intervention that can reverse this process once it begins. What you're watching is a hostile, autonomous takeover of the human chassis. Now, I really need this number to sink in. 100. The infectivity rate of SCP-217 is 100%. If you're exposed, you are infected. Period. There are no natural immunities, there are no lucky statistical outliers, and there is absolutely zero margin for operational error when you're handling this thing. Moving on to Section 2, primary containment, zero tolerance protocols. Accessing the containment area means strict, and I mean strict, adherence to daily operational requirements. To get in, you have to pass through 2 reverse pressure airlocks. You're going to undergo complete chemical shower sterilization both before and after your shift. You will wear full, contained atmosphere hazmat suits at all times. And finally, a mandatory 24-hour post-interaction quarantine and testing period is required for anyone stepping foot inside. On top of that, any item, no matter how small, touched by an affected subject has to be sterilized immediately. Look, these layers aren't suggestions, they're your only shield. But what happens if those shields fail? Well, an uncompromising sequential procedure executes the exact second a containment breach is detected. Step 1. The heavy blast doors for the entire containment and research area will slam shut and seal automatically. Step 2. Chemical agent 021711 is pumped directly into the air systems. If you happen to be caught on the wrong side of that blast door during a breach, you remain there. The protocol is absolute. We do not make exceptions. Right, let's look at Section 3, pathology and vectors, infection mechanisms. Probably the most crucial factor here is the terrifyingly broad target range of this virus. SCP-217 doesn't just target us, it affects all organisms within the kingdom Animalia. If it's an animal, it's a viable host. It spreads through simple physical touch or contact with bodily fluids, and to make matters worse, the pathogen is extremely hardy. It can survive for years outside a host body, just waiting silently on surfaces, abandoned tools, or containment walls, waiting until contact is made. Now, the true stealthy horror of this virus becomes obvious when we compare non-mammalian to mammalian infections. In birds, reptiles, or insects, the virus manifests on the outside of the body first, which makes it pretty easy to spot and quarantine. But in mammals, including humans, it works in reverse. It completely converts your internal structure before showing a single externally visible symptom, meaning victims can walk around for years with mechanical internals while appearing totally normal on the outside. Actually, SCP-217 has already infected several major metropolitan areas in the past. We've seen entire populations unknowingly harboring this clockwork plague before containment could even be established. Okay, Section 4, viral progression, biological replacement. According to Document 217-6, subjects in the early stages usually report increased lethargy and a severe lack of emotional response. Then they start feeling this fluttering or moving under their skin, accompanied by a persistent ticking noise. This ticking is incredibly prominent when the virus infects the shoulders, neck, and head area. But here is the truly unnerving part. If you take recording equipment and press it right up against the affected area, the ticking is completely inaudible. The machine cannot hear the machine growing inside the flesh. It's a strictly biological auditory hallucination, or, maybe something far worse. Initially, the progress of this horrific biological replacement is painstakingly slow. For the first couple of years, the infection goes almost totally unnoticed. Just some vague confusion, maybe insomnia, joint stiffness. But as the infection advances, it becomes excruciating. Subjects report a sharp, tearing pain in the areas being converted. Imagine a deep muscle tear or a knife wound that just persists for days. That's the physical sensation of new clockwork organs literally tearing and ripping at your surrounding biological tissue to integrate themselves. Eventually, the heart gets completely replaced by gears and small tubes. The joints become these massive gear networks. Even the eyes are replaced by structures that look like primitive, hand-cranked film cameras. So, what are these new organs actually made of? Well, the infected areas appear to be brass, steel, iron, leather, rubber, glass, and incredibly, even wood. But despite how it looks, this material is purely organic. It chillingly retains the subject's original DNA. These newly converted tissues have the immense strength and density of the materials they're mimicking. And remarkably, damaged areas can be instantly repaired by regular, everyday hardware. If a subject is physically damaged, you can simply bolt on normal steel or wood replacement parts with absolutely no ill biological effects. At this stage, the line between man and machine is just completely erased. This brings us to Section 5, Cognitive Decay, Psychological Death. In the middle to advanced stages, the victim's mental state is severely diminished. They lose their human emotion, their intellect. They basically become a frustrated automaton. They respond repetitively, their actions get incredibly dull and mechanical, and they become easily distracted, confused, and highly irritable when they're faced with any new problems. The spark of humanity is just steadily ground away by the gears. They cease to dream, they cease to feel, they simply exist to operate. As for what happens at the very end of the process, well, research on a fully converted, entirely mechanical human brain has been completely expunged from the record. Whatever researchers discovered inside that final clockwork consciousness is classified way above your current clearance level, so don't ask about it. Let's move to our final section, Section 6, Cross-Contamination, Catastrophic Scenarios. Because the mammalian infection is so heavily concealed, people can go on for months, even years, completely undetected, and the virus absolutely thrives in dense, unsuspecting human populations. Infection spreads with terrifying speed in large offices, malls, major metropolitan areas. If a single carrier walks into a high-density zone, hundreds could be affected through casual touch before proper containment could even be conceptualized, let alone actually enforced. We are quite literally always one handshake away from an epidemic. Finally, I'm going to give you a strict, non-negotiable operational directive. Anything or anyone, even suspected of being infected with SCP-217, is absolutely not allowed anywhere near SCP-882. The apocalyptic risks of interaction with other mechanical anomalies just cannot be overstated. Furthermore, any cross-experimentation with SCP-229 requires direct, explicit approval from the O5 Council. There are 0 exceptions to these cross-contamination rules. A single violation will result in immediate termination. Look around you for a second. Look at the people stationed to your left, to your right. Remember the timeline we just talked about. Remember the stealth of the mammalian infection vector. If a microscopic breach occurred in this facility right now, would you even hear the ticking inside the colleague standing next to you before it was too late? Maintain absolute vigilance. Dismissed. This concludes today's briefing. If you wish to maintain your current clearance level and ensure continued access to the Versarian database, a subscription to this channel is mandatory. Secure your connection by leaving a like on this file, and log your requests in the comments section below to dictate which anomaly we unseal next. Stay vigilant and expect your next set of logs every day. Secure, contain, protect.